Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we are going to be talking about three cryptocurrencies, Xrp, Xlm, and XDC. Now, I am going to rehash a few older tweets of mine, specifically just kind of bringing them back up into conversation and really kind of talking to you guys about them. Because I think now, out of every single moment around crypto, is the best damn time to be looking at these three gems. I keep bringing these three up, and they are big talking points on this channel simply because of the change that is coming. This will shock the entire system. I'm not talking about Xrp, I'm not talking about Xlm, and I'm not talking about XDC here. I am talking about the big change happening under the carpet, because this thing, what we have been talking about for the longest time, 99% of the world is asleep and they don't even know about, because it has been swept under the rug, right? Like, try talking to somebody about half of the things that we talk about on this channel, because we probably sound ridiculous, we probably sound crazy, but for those that actually see it, for those that have been doing the research, for those that have been showing up for the last couple years, we are all aware of the big change happening here. And we're not talking about a couple dollars. We're not talking about billions of dollars. We're talking about trillions to quadrillions worth of dollars. And some people will say there's not even that much money out there. But we know that there's a lot of money locked away in derivatives and cross-border payments in terms of that market. Roughly a $250 trillion market within the next 4 years. I mean, there is so much money that is being disrupted by this technology. We are on the opposite side of the spectrum, right? Like, we are such a small percentage of the actual general public that gets this. And that's why I say, like, we are on the cusp of something much bigger than what anyone can really kind of assume. So let's dive into this. Three projects. Why I hold them? I outlined this back in August. This thing blew up. We're talking about almost 200,000 views, almost 1,800 likes. But I talked about these three projects because when we look at what is happening and what's changing, everything around us is ushering into the digital age. One of the first markets that we outlined that were actually moving so fast into the digital age was trade finance. And this is why I said, even back then, like, everyone needs to be looking at XDC. XDC was trading at around roughly 3 cents, maybe even under 3 cents. And I said, ushering a $19 trillion asset class into the digital age. Trade finance has been ripe for disruption, but digital innovations have failed due to high cost. But XinFin created a massive opportunity within trade finance where it wasn't expensive to innovate. And they have been collaborating with the largest organizations around trade finance. Then, of course, Xlm. Xlm and Xrp are fundamental to value movement. They are key pieces of this. They are both mentioned on multiple documents. They are very similar. But Xlm is more so for P2P. Xrp is more for B2B, and I've outlined this many times. Now, of course, like I said, I've been talking about these three for so long. Now, Xrp and Xlm, they are very interesting at this moment because we are starting to see major change happening around tokenization, specifically the major banks. JP Morgan, for example, have been tokenizing reserves for a while, aka JPM coin. But also they've been releasing settlement platforms, and they've been innovating beyond the means of their traditional viewpoints of tapping into blockchain. And now a lot of people are questioning, is this going to kill Xrp? Is this going to kill Xlm? And I always say, like, listen, the more coins and the more things that, pop up, the better. Because we know Xrp and even Xlm could technically be a bridge currency. I even said that in this breakdown. I said decentralization is crucial. It's 100% needed. That's why we are seeing, the change happening around reserve currency status. I've always said that I don't think that we will see a reserve currency. I think that we will see multiple currencies and multiple things of value rising And I think that we are going to see decentralization on a global scale, and we are going to see CBDCs and things like that. Remember, CBDCs eliminate the need for a reserve currency, but with that, we need a decentralized bridge currency, and that's where we really kind of talk about XRP and XLM. Now, also, with that, I do want to talk to you guys a little bit about this tweet that I kind of didn't really talk too much about at all. And I said, did anyone notice what the UN said 3 days ago? And this was back in September. I said, they are calling for a new Bretton Woods moment that will bring about a global systemic change. The window of opportunity is now. If you have been following the XRP side of things, the community has been calling for a new Bretton Woods for years. I think pressure is building. We might still be years away, but things are getting very interesting. Now is the time I'd be heavily researching utility projects within this space too, because I personally think that they will be crucial in this new system. And here you guys have it. UN sets out bold solutions to rescue SDG finance. This was September 20th. Check this out. There's a window of opportunity if we act now. This is from the United Nations. Developing countries face borrowing costs up to 8 times higher than developed countries, a debt trap. And 1 in 3 countries around the world is now at high risk of a fiscal crisis. Over 40% of people living in extreme poverty are in countries with severe debt challenges. Then over here, solutions must be systemic. It is clear that the systemic problems of financing for sustainable development require a systemic solution, reforms of the global financial architecture. He is also calling for a new Bretton Woods moment when countries can come together to agree on new global financial architecture that reflects today's economic realities and power relations. Together, we must turn this moment of crisis into a moment of opportunity, find joint financing solutions to rebuild global solidarity, and create a new momentum for sustainable development and climate action. Again, we are at a point in time where change can't wait anymore. Before, yeah, we could have waited a year, 2 years, 3 years. Now, everything has accelerated. Global conflict is accelerating push and change. Remember, we are now just weeks away from ISO 20022 changing everything. Shout out to ISO 20022. Let's do it. In the 21st century, it is time for Europe to embrace blockchain and DLT plus Europe ISO 20022 November 2023 upgrade. Check this out. Barriers to shareholder engagement, SRD2 revisited. This is from 2022. But over here, we have a little bit of an insight on 2023. So let me open this up in a new tab for you guys. So here we have the executive summary. We do see, like last year, the results of the research project remained disastrous in 2022. One reason for this was that the implementation of ISO 20022, the only SRD2 compliant message format, has been further postponed to November of this year. Within this, we have a few things regarding this. They talk a little bit about how this is going to harmonize and simplify the standardization regarding fintech, payments, things like that, whatever. The big thing to focus on is down here. Therefore, in the 21st century, it is time for Europe to embrace modernization and new technologies such as blockchain and DLT. They are literally telling you what they are going to be tapping into to enable and foster direct communication between issuers and shareholders. The general meetings and the shareholders as co-owners. Voting processes are not financial ones per se, and non-financial providers should be allowed to step in. In addition, European citizens should be directly enabled to exercise their voting rights either by themselves or by giving a proxy, for example, to independent investor associations as co-owners of EU companies and also via their smartphones. I'm telling you right now, they are tapping in. Blockchain DLT, it is so damn crucial. And ISO 20022 is opening this door. I've talked about this 100 times now on this channel. They need to change. It's mandatory. Everything is changing around us. Overview of ISO 20022 adoption by high-value payment market infrastructures. And here we have the planning migration by November of 2022. Now, of course, some of this is subject to change and get delayed, but we already know that a lot of these systems are going live. And we actually have the planning migration by 2023 to 2025. 2024, there's no big updates. We've talked about this. By the end of Q4 of this year, we will have the US on par with this and all major economies. Because we've even looked at it, it's 80% of the world will already be adopted into the ISO 20002 standard. And this should be done by the end of 2025. And you know what's funny with this? Is that the end of 2025 is when we have global crypto regulations. It's all connected. Beyond this, September of this year, the time is now to unlock the future of cross-border payments. Cross-border payments can play a special role for people and businesses around the world. They allow us to send money to our loved ones, book a holiday of a lifetime, or start a business in another country. And within this, guess what we see? The challenges outlined. The challenges of today's legacy infrastructure is trash. It's horrible. Down here, we could see new technologies that can be embraced to change the legacy infrastructure. And guess what? Guess what it is? DOT, blockchain. Change is in the air. And it's happening now. Like, now is the time to embrace these new technologies. They even talk about stablecoins, CBDCs. Talk about all of that within this. At the end of the day, we already know that these technologies like XRP and XLM have been pioneered for years now. And also just recently, June 19th, the IMF put out this, Exploring Cross-Border and Domestic Payment and Contracting Platforms. This is by Tobias Adrian, which, by the way, go back to 2019 and 2020, he was sitting right next to Brad Garlinghouse, and he even said that, you know, Ripple is doing incredible things around cross-border payments. Fast forward to 2023, June. Well, guess what? He's speaking in Morocco. Why is Morocco key here? Well, because we already know that Ripple's tapped in to the largest bank in Morocco. And they continue to expand within the MENA region. Also, as we look at digital trade for Morso XDC, 801_XRP posted this video, the growth of digital trade and digitally delivered services trade. What can we do for this trade? Remove barriers in their way and put a level playing field so that the trade can grow even more. And again, the level playing field is right on par with, you know, the original Ripple Internet of Value movement as well. But again, XDC is playing by the rules as well. Listen closely.
One thing we don't recommend, let me start with that, is more fragmented trade. Because if we have the world, if we have trade fragmenting and people just trading with each other in blocks of people similar to themselves, this fragmentation, we've done some work, Gita and the IMF has done some work that shows that the real losses to real GDP, global GDP in the long term are substantial. 5% in our case, they had 7%, and for emerging markets and developing countries, it would be in double digits. So what we, and I will not stop saying this, it will become boring, because we think that any fragmentation, if fragmentation spreads, then definitely we will not be able to get back on the good path. What I think we should look at to get us back in terms of trade, we need to avoid more protectionism. We need to avoid people retreating and thinking that, look, things are going so badly that I have to make sure that I rely as much on myself as possible. Because we've seen that global trade has rendered benefits in the long term. For the past 75 years, we've seen people lifted out of poverty due to trade. So let's not throw away what has worked in the past, but let's try and make it better. That's why we talked about the re-globalization. So let's avoid protectionism and putting barriers. The free flow of trade is what we need if we really want our economies to move. I think the second thing I want to say is that there are green shoots within trade, and that's what we're looking at the WTO. We look at trade, and even though, you know, our recent forecast has downgraded the goods trade, the volume of goods trade from 1.7% to 0.8%, which is quite a dramatic downgrade and goes along with all the new pessimism that is emerging. But within that, there's something very interesting happening, and that is the growth of digital trade and digitally delivered services trade, which is growing at 8% per annum. Out of $32 trillion of trade, we've got 25 trillion that is goods, 12 trillion services. And of the 12 trillion, 4 trillion almost is digitally delivered services. So this is growing so fast. We're saying, what can we do to make sure that we foster this trade, that we make sure micro, medium, and small enterprises and women-owned enterprises that are the ones using this trade the most, that we remove barriers in their way, and that we put a level playing field so that this trade can grow even more.
And again, like, these are elites. Like, I want you all to understand that, like, all of this is happening in real time. And what's crazy is that it's right on par with the original agenda behind blockchain and DLT that a lot of these companies like Ripple have been pushing for years. Stellar, level playing field. Ripple, level playing field. I mean, hell, even XinFin, when they were talking about trade finance, they want to level the playing field. They want to have all SMEs embracing this technology and being able to, you know, step into this market as well without any barriers. I have said it 100 times and I will continue to say it. We are at the forefront of this massive transformation. And it's a transformation that's going to reshape the whole world. This is what gets me very excited about crypto. A lot of people will get excited about the price action. They're excited about what the price is going to be in a year from now. I'm excited to see crypto entrenched within our global system within the next couple of years. Because I know price will follow through. I know the price of these assets. I know that these assets, you can't even put an actual value on them because of what they are doing and what they are changing. That's what keeps me up at night. That's what allows me to be so damn confident in XRP, XDC, XLM, HBAR, Casper, QNT, Algorand. Because these assets are fundamental to this change happening. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on if you guys want more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Peace out.